The Road Between Us, The Ultimate Rescue. This is like the film of this festival because of all the things that happened before being screened. If you want to know about it, well, there was a lot of coming and going, and it's going to be screened, it's not going to be screened. Well, let's leave it out. Let's talk about the film mainly. But I think it's going to be the film that is going to define this 50 festival because it's the film that is going to be more talked about and with reason. Before beginning with the review, okay, as this film is going to raise a lot of controversy, let's deal with some topics about a subject I love to talk about with me. I'm not Jewish. I'm a guy from Spain, from Madrid. I've been living there a lot of years, decades even. And from Spain, we threw out Jews and Muslims a lot of time ago. So that being said, I think maybe I have more Jewish friends than Muslim friends, but I have a very dear Muslim Pakistani friend. And other than that, I like to brag that I have a PhD about film festivals, cultural diversity in film festivals, according to the UNESCO framework. Okay, so I know you got the whole picture. Once said that, The Road Between Us, The Ultimate Rescue by Barry Avrich, about Noam Tibum. Things that I don't like about this documentary. Barry, the title. Barry, the title could have been shorter. The Road Between Us. That's it. Because when you see it, it takes shape. It's absolutely right, the title. Other than that, I don't know where else I don't like. And I think that exclusively on, we could say, film terms, based on what Barry has done with this documentary, even in relation with the previous works. I remember I saw his previous documentary, TIFF 2021. I say, okay, this is like a classic TV documentary. And when The Road Between Us was beginning, it begins like a classic talking heads documentary. And okay, I have this critical view. And of course, nowadays we have, I think, a special critical view regarding what is happening in the Middle East, Gaza, Israel. And I said, oh my, this is going to be a talking heads documentary. And it's not. The director and even the editor, Dick Kennedy, first film edited, incredible. I want to see the second. But anyway, what they've come to done, mainly the vision of the director, is overcoming the classic talking head documentary, giving it meaning to each sequence in which the characters talk to the camera, and also recreating what happened when Noam Tibum received the message of his son saying that the kibbutz where he was living with his family, with his wife and his two daughters, 5 years old, 3 years old, they were being attacked. October 7, 2023. How this retired general gets to reach the place. And this is not a spoiler. This era that we talk about, a lot of spoilers and the things. We know that because they're interviewing the son. How he does that, how in the way he saves the lives of so different people. It's an absolutely heartbreaking story. It's told with a lot of sense. Jane Austen would say a lot of sense and sensibility, but okay, we heard you. And also, oh, now the lights. And but also the main characters, Noam, how he recreates all the process, while the images we see show us what happened. In most of the cases with images live streamed during the time by Hamas itself. How his wife also gets involved in the process, and there's even some humor, because I remember when the interviewer, I think Barry himself, asked her, "Did he try to talk you out not going with him?" And she said, "No." And the whole Rolling Thompson whole laughed. With some other moments, it's life itself. That's why what cinema is about. That's what really good movies are about. And this is a really good movie, maybe the best documentary at TIFF, because it shows us a different perspective. Usually the perspective we don't have in the news, and we have lost in the news. We want to talk a lot about Netanyahu and about Donald Trump, and I think these guys are not so interesting as the real people who are suffering from the different policies, and from the terrorism of Hamas, and from the desire of revenge of Netanyahu that is clearly addressed on this movie. So, what would be my recommendation? Well, for film schools, it's a movie to study how it's been absolutely masterfully edited, how they work also with the help of the producer to do visual research also. That's an example, because without those visual documents, the editing is impossible. How the filmmaker manages to get a sense of rhythm that involves us in the story, at the same time chooses the precise image we need to see, and well, involves us with every detail, even the music. That music sometimes in documentary doesn't fit. In this case, everything is a whole piece of something we need to see, not to agree, but to know. We can agree, we cannot agree with the vision. We can watch other films like Palestine 1936, which has been screened also during TIFF. We can, well, get the different perspectives that usually we find in real life, not in social media or other different media, but what we find in real life when we listen, when we talk with people. In this case, the fight for family, to save lives, and mainly to save the lives of those you love the most, I think is the main lesson we can get from this documentary. That, well, it's been several hours since I've seen it, but it's very emotional. The screening has been perfectly shown, and the after talk, well, has been also very insightful. So, recommendation, however you can do it, better in a theater, because it gets you involved with all the treatment of the images and the sound, but however you can, look at it and talk about it, because it will be important to know more about, well, what is life and what is death, what we are living and what real people live in the real world. So that's my comment and my recommendation. See you next time, and keep on seeing and watching and enjoying films at TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival.